Going out to the outhouse and a
Yes.
rattlesnake, fangs your nuts.
Welcome to episode 42 of The Musers, the podcast. I'm Craig.
Hey, fans, I'm George.
Hey, fans. I'm Gordon.
I think we're going to have a lot of fun today on this episode talking about time travel. But before we get to this week's topic, we've got a few house cleaning items. First, our letter of the week. It's the Musers mailbag. We're getting lots of mail. It's the Musers mailbag. And that's all we've got so far for a theme song.
We're still working on it.
Build that out a little bit.
This comes to us from Frank, who listened to last week's episode about presidential assassination attempts and some of the bizarre stories surrounding many of the failed attempts, including the John Hinckley attempt to take President Reagan's life. And we mentioned that Hinckley has many Dallas ties where this podcast originates. And Frank writes, "Dear Musers, I just wanted to let you know that John Hinckley does live in the area. I saw him at a local Chili's wearing Musers merch.
Okay.
All right.
He also had a pennant in his car window. He's a big listener."
Well, you had me for about 8 seconds.
I know. I was thinking, well, maybe he did move back to the Dallas area.
That makes some sense. It's working with the high school, maybe.
It's not completely out of the question
No?
that he listens to this podcast, right? Somebody may have told him
Hey, they're
about
talking about you.
Yeah, about the episode last week, and he said, "Well, I'm from Dallas. I'll listen to those guys."
Maybe. Yeah. Okay. We'll say he's a listener.
Should we invite him on, or is that too bad a karma?
Well, that's a good one.
We should invite him on to chastise him for doing that.
Would you guys want to have him on if he would come on with us? Would that be a good get or a weird get?
Oh, I think everyone would be pissed at you.
Yeah, it's a weird get.
And back in the old days, you would have someone on controversial to hear what they say and to take them to task and all that. But I just don't think now we could.
Now, all of a sudden, you're part of the assassination attempt.
Right. It would be platforming him, and you don't want to be.
Yeah.
Like when Tom
You'd
Snyder
be considered the guy that took the 7th shot at Reagan.
when Tom Snyder got Charles Manson, that was great for him.
Right. Yeah, and it was an interview that people were interested in and wanted to watch.
Get off the space shuttle.
And I think Tom Snyder continued working after that, didn't he?
Yeah.
He didn't get in too much trouble for it.
You think that would end us if we had John Hinckley on?
And let him play a few of his songs. He brings an acoustic.
Well, thank you, Frank, for reporting that John Hinckley is wearing Musers merch. A couple of weeks ago, we made that big announcement that we now have merch, and you can check out our catalog of T-shirts, sweatshirts, hats, stickers, yes, pennants, and more at themusers.com. And this week, we have another big announcement. We are fast approaching our 1-year anniversary of this podcast. That, by the way, I can't believe.
That has gone really fast.
42 episodes in, coming up on a year. And to celebrate, we are going to be doing a live taping of our podcast at the Kessler Theater in the Bishop Arts neighborhood of Dallas on Thursday evening, May 21st, and we would love to have you there.
Wow. So we're kicking off a world tour with one stop.
One stop. Yeah, just one city.
But that's pretty huge.
Yes.
That is huge. Yeah.
We'll be up on stage at the Kessler Thursday evening, May 21st. We'll take some Q&A from the audience. We got a lot of good things planned for you. And we have 3 different ticket levels. Tickets very reasonably priced. We have general admission tickets. That'll be on the floor. We have about 300 of those. $10 to get you in the door.
Very reasonable.
We have reserved seats. Those are in the balcony at the Kessler, $20.
Very comfortable.
And we have VIP seats. There aren't many of these, but they're on an elevated platform back center of the room. And these VIP seats will also include a meet and greet with us before the show, and those are only $30.
And all this for a great cause.
Yes.
Yes.
Proceeds from this big event are going to go to At Last, the Urban Boarding Experience. That's a charitable cause very near and dear to this show. And our buddy Randy Bowman, who created At Last. It's a boarding house in South Dallas for kids who come from a rough life. and he gives them a place to study and live during the week because, as he knows and has taught us all, a tumultuous home life is not good for a kid who's in third grade, fourth grade, trying to do their homework. So At Last is already working. It's been up and running for a few years, and they've already had some graduates from At Last, and it's working beautifully. They're looking to expand to help more kids. And so if you show up to the Musers, the podcast live at the Kessler on May 21st, you'll be helping At Last.
It's such an incredible project. Randy, I've always said, is the smartest guy I know to come up with this model. I really believe it's going to be that many people will try to duplicate it in cities around the country. Mm-hmm. It's going to make a huge impact. Already has in Dallas. And just think what it's going to do through the years and decades here.
Well, I'm already buying a few of these VIP tickets for a meet and greet with you guys.
Okay.
I want to spend some alone time with you guys.
All right.
Giving you a piece of my mind.
We appreciate you supporting the cause. You don't have to do that, but yeah, go ahead.
And tickets are on sale right now. You can get them at themusers.com. Same place you can get your merch. Go to themusers.com right now to buy your tickets for the Musers, the podcast, live at the Kessler May 21st. We're celebrating our 1-year anniversary of doing this podcast, and this will be our first live taping in front of an audience. And Gordo, this is right up your alley. You've always wanted to do stand-up comedy, so we'll be up on a stage.
I can't wait to see your routine.
Well,
this is going to be awesome.
Already we've been in rehearsals. There's a lot of costume changes for the three of us. Yeah. The choreography is a little bit more difficult than I thought it was going to be. But Giorgio's learning the dance steps.
Thank you. I've been working hard on them.
Doing a pas de bourrée and a barrel roll. And
the whole thing.
Double toe touch.
Seriously, the Kessler, I think, is all of our favorite venue. If you go see, I've never seen something like this there, but I've seen musical acts there. The acoustics there are just amazing, and therefore I think you should do a number, Gordo.
No, people don't want to see me do song and dance. That's
I do.
You don't
just
have to
weird.
dance, just a song.
That's all right. I'll stick with the podcast.
All right. Okay. You're the only one who's done a live podcast before. What was that like?
When did I do a lot? Oh, yeah, at the Majestic with Dax Shepard. Yeah, that was great. That was fantastic. And that place held, I think, like 1,500 or so. Sold it out in an hour, George. Pretty good. Amazing. Pretty good. The crowd was great.
Can we sell 400 tickets for our show?
I'm hoping so.
Fingers crossed.
Yes. I think we can. There's one of us that doubts that, but I think we can.
Well, who doubts it?
We can get close. That's a secret.
Okay. All right. Well, if you come to the podcast, we'll reveal who doubted.
We'll tell the story.
All right. So again, themusers.com to buy tickets to our first ever live taping of a podcast, The Musers, the podcast, May 21st at the Kessler. Okay, let's get to our topic of the week, time travel.
Clearly.
Recently, on our radio show, we had a story about a new study that finds that 50% of Gen Zers, those born between 1997 and 2012, would prefer to live in the past, preferably the 1990s, before smartphones and the internet had taken over. 62% of Gen Z respondents said they expect life will be worse for them compared to previous generations. Their desire to live in the past partly shaped by their relationship with technology and the discomfort with being connected at all times. And others would prefer to live in the past because they fear the future. 80% of Gen Zers surveyed think America and the world is on the wrong and dangerous path. Does it surprise us, first of all, that Gen Z feels that way? I was pleasantly surprised that they were even aware that their smartphones were sucking their souls down the life toilet. So yeah. I was encouraged by this.
No, I was encouraged by it as well. And it brought back a lot of memories for me because and when I was, I don't know, I'm going to say high school, even college, when I was under the age of 21, I used to think about that very thing. And we didn't have smartphones. I wasn't worried about that. But just things like I'd hear my parents talk about inflation, and I've watched news reports about, the possibility of nuclear war.
Mm-hmm.
And there were so many times I would wish that I could go back to, if this was the 80s, I would say early 70s. And not just because of what was going on in the world then, but also, it's going to sound really strange, but I used to identify almost like somewhere between 79 and 81, because 79 I lost my grandfather, 81 I lost my grandmother. And to me, my life seemed better before then because we had that central location of the Rock and Tea Ranch that I could go to, and my grandparents were there. And there were so many times.
That was their place or something?
That was their place,
okay.
Yeah, in Gainesville, Texas. And that's where my whole family would, gather on holidays and in the summer and spring break and stuff like that. And life was just better then, it seemed like, and that's maybe why Napoleon Dynamite kind of hit me. Yeah, I've always thought about it too, Uncle Rico, that I could go back in time and I would choose this time. Not a time of glory for myself as much, just, man, I want to go back to that simpler time.
Well, but it seems like there's kind of a cognitive error there that we do, though, because the past is a safe, known time and the future is unknown.
Right.
And it always makes us nervous, and we have natural future anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
Anxiety about the unknown of the future and the undetermined variables that are going to affect our lives. But if you go back in time, would the kids that were interviewed for this story, would they really want to go back to the 90s? Or is it just something that it's safe to say and fun to think about and fun to do the thought experiment of? Because you could offer them, hey, look, I can take your phone away from you now, and they're like, well, no, I don't know about that, because, hey, all my friends have phones. We kind of all need to have phones. So everyone, could divest themselves of some of these things that are driving them crazy, but I don't know that we would choose to do it. And, there's been social progress that's happened since then.
Sure.
And how much of that do we want to turn back the clock on? I just don't know if people would really want to go back in time.
Yeah, the social progress point is a significant one because as we discuss this over the next hour, you should know that it's kind of a white man's discussion because a lot of minority groups that have been marginalized, African Americans, they don't want to go back in time.
Yeah, you think somebody wants to go back to the 50s?
Right. Women,
60s,
women don't necessarily all want to go back in time when they couldn't vote and they were second-class citizens. So, there's this caveat to this discussion. And in fact, in this survey of Gen Zers, they found that the respondents among the groups of African Americans, other minority groups, women, they weren't quite as strong about going back in time.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's just, talking about going back to the 90s. So there is that caveat to deal with.
Yeah, that makes total sense. But these kids thinking that made total sense with me. I don't feel that way anymore. I guess I don't know what the age was when I stopped really thinking about that. Boy, I wish I could go back to this time, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But as a kid, I do remember thinking, and you're right, Gordo, if you take it to the next step, would you really want to go back then? Well, yeah, probably not. It causes all sorts of complications, but yeah.
Like what are the complications, you think?
The thought of it sounded good. Yeah. Do you want to go back, and what age are we going back at? Are we going back and I'm 7 years old again? And
you have to go through all that mess again.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to relive my life again, but I would like to go back to that time where it did seem that we didn't have the worries of today. And I guess that's when we originally talked about this on a radio show.
Let's go back to the Cold War when we thought we were all going to get bombed into oblivion every second of the day.
Yeah, we've always had problems. We've always had, anxiety about whatever it is. So it wouldn't solve anything, but I've had those thoughts, and I think it is why sometimes whoever knew vinyl would come back, or even heard CDs are coming back to a certain extent. You keep typewriters going, Gordo.
Yeah.
We can't go back in time, but we can take something that maybe it was regarded as, well, that's useless to us now, and we go back to it because but for these kids, they don't even remember that. My kids who listen to vinyl now, they really didn't listen to vinyl when they were kids.
No, vinyl was almost out by the time I got to be a teenager. You know, I had one friend who had a record player, and I remembered it from when I was a real little kid playing Elvis records, my parents' Elvis records on our turntable. But when I started being a consumer of music, I didn't have vinyl. I was a cassette guy. Like, this is just much more convenient. This is great. I think that not everything present day, it's like there's some things from the past that are worth preserving. Like, I do think the switch that a younger generation has done in having complaints about the fact that they're made to rent to own everything that they have. Mm-hmm. Like, I think that's a legitimate complaint. You know, yes, we love the convenience of our Spotify, our streaming services, and those things. They provide a great service in that sense, but in the other sense, you don't own that. Like, how are you going to pass your CDs around to someone afterwards? You don't have CDs, so all that stuff gets lost, you know? Yeah. Like, everything that I buy on my Amazon Prime, all the movies that I own there, and, you know, will go away once I pass away. There's no media there, or if I lose access to my account or something, then I don't have it. So how do I really own this thing?
Yeah. Is that the next thing for digital? I've heard that the ownership, even the use of Bitcoin for that we're going to own things that way instead of, you know, the traditional DVD, or even going back before that, the videotape. VCRs aren't coming back, are they? Or are they to a certain extent?
No, I don't think so.
That people want to see that old nostalgic, hey, let's put the big tape in there and watch something.
I'm sure some people like that. And there are, of course, filters to make your TikTok look like it's on a VHS. You know, people do that. But yeah, physical CDs, owning a digital library that's actually a physical media, I think that's important to have. Mm-hmm. I think it's good to have. Physical books are also good. As a reader, I do both. I have physical books, and I have the Kindle is just so convenient. I love being able to carry around what I'm reading, particularly if I'm reading a big book. Putting that in my bag just beats me down so much, even though I do love the experience of the physical book. But it's just not as convenient. So I'm like the favorite consumer of the book industry because I buy it in both forms. I'll buy a physical copy,
so you'll read
and a digital copy.
One book and you'll read it both ways.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. Not every book, but there's a sizable percentage that I'll have a book at home where I can read the physical book, but then when I travel, you know, or running errands for the day and having to wait in a waiting room, I'll pull out the Kindle and read the same book.
I'm going to defend Gen Z. This is something you said a couple of moments ago, Gordo. I think you're right that if you took their phones away right now, they would not like that. But I think what they're feeling here in wanting to go back to the 90s is a time where none of their friends had the phones either.
Yeah.
So I think they like, and I'm surprised.
It's everyone's got to be on the same page.
Yes.
Thing.
And I think that's what they want. They want to go back to a time when nobody had a phone, so no one is sweating out how many likes or texts they're getting. And again, that surprised me that they have come to the realization that the algorithm is a disease, and that waiting for likes on Facebook and Twitter is a disease, and it's consumed their life. And it's a lot like the studies that we have these days of schools that are going to no phones, which I can't believe kids used to be able to carry a phone into the classroom anyway, but that's another topic.
Oh, they still do.
Yeah,
most kids have the dummy phone. That's the one they turn in to the school at the beginning of the day, and then they have their real phone.
Wow.
Check throughout the day.
Well, in some schools where they have gone no phone and the kids are obeying, everything improves with the kids' attitude, their grades, their demeanor. They talk more to their friends. And so it's interesting to me that the younger generations are discovering this, that there is a whole world outside of the digital world, and they like it.
Yeah, I have one that's a Gen Z, two are millennials. And of my two millennials, one of them is, I don't see how he would get through a day without his phone. One would love to go back to the day before phones. He would just as soon throw his in the lake. Drives him crazy. Now, my Gen Zer, I don't know if he could make it a day without his phone.
I'm insane by the fact that you have two different generations of children. That fries my brain a little bit.
Yeah.
It seems like
we're
they're
parents for a long time.
Well, but they're just one generation behind you.
Yeah.
If you're two,
one of them is, two of them are,
It's the false nature of generations here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Generations used to be your children are a different generation than you.
Right.
And that's it.
I got you. Yeah.
Now I have 4 children, and they're 3 different generations. So hey, look at this picture, this family photo. We have 17 different generations in this photo.
When I was thinking about going back and wanting to live in a time in the past, I've always considered myself a little more skeptical than optimistic, especially about my sports teams. I'm always skeptical. But I think I'm a life optimist because it dawned on me that I have never, ever wanted to go back in time. I've never wanted to
sports-wise?
No, in my life. I've never wanted to relive any part of my life, even though I had a great childhood, wonderful parents, great sibling, good friends when I was a kid, great school experiences. I had lots of fun as a kid, but I don't want to go back there. I had lots of fun as a young adult. The early years of our job at our radio station, tons of fun. I've had great friends over the years. I've done some great things, but I don't want to go back and revisit or relive any of it because even though we all share those fears about the future that the Gen Z survey was talking about, and I've always had those concerns about the future, I've always been more optimistic in that I've never wanted to go back because times were better. I've always had it in my mind that the future is going to be pretty good. The future is going to be better, that I'm going to make something of it. And George, our college years were the best. I mean, we had so much fun. It was the greatest 5 years in terms of
6.
Fun that I've ever had. But the memories are enough for me. I don't want to go back to 1983 and relive those 5 years.
No, I really don't want to go back and relive any point in my life with one exception. Speaking of my kids that span all these generations, there are times when I wish I could go back and just see that day again when all 3 of my kids were little.
Yeah, the kids being little time. That's a special time.
I wish I could go back.
And maybe because I'm in the middle of that right now, maybe in 20 years I will want that.
Right. That's one very personal thing that I wouldn't mind going back and experiencing that again. The other thing, and this is kind of goes hand in hand with what I talked about earlier. When I was younger, I remember thinking, boy, if I could just go back to 1977, a Thanksgiving dinner, and my parents are there and my grandparents are there, going back to when I could just see them again.
Mm-hmm.
Death. I always bring up death, but it brings up, man, I wish I could go back to the point where I remember, say in high school, watching shows that I know that I watched at my grandparents' house just to try to bring those vibes back again. I know that sounds kind of strange, but I remember watching this show with my grandfather, and I would watch it again and just to try to feel some of what I felt back when I was young.
So, yeah, you don't think that you'd have the experience of going back for that Thanksgiving dinner, and then when the evening's over with, you'd be like, all right, I'm ready to get back to
okay, that's about enough of that.
About enough of that. Hearing them yelling in there and saying things that clearly would not fly now.
No, some of the
granddad
things my grandfather would say probably wouldn't go over well in 2026.
I wish I hadn't brought up gender in front of my granddad.
Do you guys agree with that famous Tony Soprano quote from The Sopranos that the worst kind of conversation is the one that starts, remember when?
No,
or do
I
you
disagree
like
with
that?
him.
I think I disagree with him too. I understand that there are some times when you're around the same people and the same stories keep getting brought up all the time.
Reliving glory days.
Yeah. Like sometimes in our time with the ticket, I like revisiting, but it seems like when we all get together, sometimes it's the same story over and over again. It's like, okay, yeah, we've been back to that one a number of times. I know that sounds strange coming from me since Gordo and I still reenact all of these funny moments through the years or uncomfortable moments through the years. But yeah, I can see both sides of it, but I do like going back and just thinking, oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, it's what bonds you in present day oftentimes is remembering experiences you've had with someone in the past. Remember that time that you did this and a whole group of friends getting together and laughing about funny old stories? Yeah. I mean, you don't have to let it preclude you having new experiences with people. It's just part of the glue and fabric of friendship is to have a shared corpus of experiences.
Have you had that experience where someone has come up and said, remember, and we did this, and we did, and you said that,
yeah,
and you're
not
like,
remember a thing?
Yeah, okay, yeah, I remember that. I have no idea what they're talking about.
Right.
And I think that's just the shared, their perspective on it. It was a really funny moment to them, but it's just another day in your life that you don't really, you didn't put much stock in.
I'm mostly an eyes forward guy, but recently, and I shared this with you guys, I found a box of old photos. And man, I had the best time just sitting there on the floor in our guest bedroom going through these old photos. And I found a bunch of the three of us from 30 years ago and found some childhood photos. And then I found old childhood report cards and certificates from a summer camp. And it was great.
Yeah, it was fun. There's no point in bagging on looking back at that past. That past is just as much a part of your life as your future is.
Mm-hmm.
It's all part of the same thing, which is the thing called your life.
And we don't do that with the pictures on our phone.
Well,
we don't go back 5 years and think
it's too overwhelming.
Yeah. It is overwhelming too. Yeah, you got thousands and thousands if you've saved them through the years. So maybe that's something that Gen Z and some other generations will actually take the step of printing out a picture and physically having that picture, framing it or putting it in some sort of album that's always there for them to remind them about something from 10 or 15 years ago.
Do you think Gen Alpha will do that?
Okay, that's people that have been born the last 13 years, so
there's
probably
Gen
not.
X. We're Gen X. Then after us is Gen Y, right? Which is the same as millennials.
Yeah.
Was that right?
Yes.
Gen Y is millennials. And then Gen Z is, what do they call themselves? There's Xennials somewhere in there too. I think that's between Gen X and millennials.
Okay.
This is all so confusing. And then after...
Gen Alpha's after Gen Z.
Yes. But I'm trying to remember there's another name for Gen Z, I think, too. I can't remember.
Obnoxious?
It all seems... This is what bugs me, and I don't know, this may be very boomer of me, which is also confusing.
Boomer of a Gen Xer.
Yes.
That's what I am.
It's like, I think all this generation talk is just a bunch of malarkey, man.
It can
it's a bunch of fake division stuff, and
yes,
everybody gets on, and one generation makes TikToks about another generation, and it's a bunch of trash talking, and it
doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I've always told you guys that I'm a hybrid because with my older siblings, I was born as a Gen Xer, but I identify with a lot of traits of the baby boomers, just a year off.
Yeah, my
brothers and sisters were baby boomers.
You and I were born the first year of Gen X.
Right.
So it's very close.
Yeah, and I grew up with such a baby boomer influence from baby boomer parents from the World War II era and older siblings who were definitely baby boomers.
So your parents, though, what were they called? Silent generation?
Greatest, I guess.
Greatest generation.
Yeah.
Is that right?
If you fought in World War II, you were part of the greatest generation, weren't you?
Is that what it's officially called, or is that just Tom Brokaw's title of his book?
I thought that was Tom Brokaw, but maybe it
I guess
got
that
so
is
popular.
Technically the silent generation, but no, they were
thought
greatest
silent generation were like babies born during the war kind of thing.
Greatest generation I see identified as 1901 to 1927. That was my parents.
Okay, and then after 27 to what?
Then 28 to 45, silent generation.
Okay, and then after that is boomers.
Why were they so silent?
They didn't learn to talk. They didn't teach them in schools back then.
The Depression made them too sad, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, let's get into the hypothetical of if you could travel in time, how far back would you want to go? to what time period would you want to go, and how long would you want to hang out? I thought we could split this up into two groups. Let's talk about when you would want to go back in time and live for a week or a month, and when you would want to go back in time and just be a fly on a wall. The fly on the wall is probably the time period where you know you're not going to survive more than a day.
Yeah.
So you just want to see it, or it could be.
What does fly on the wall mean? Does that mean you have to still eat and all that kind of stuff, or you can just go and look?
You just go and look. You can walk around all day. You'll never get hungry, and you're just observing it, but nobody notices you.
Oh, there's a lot of things I'd want to do then,
because
there's no downside to it.
No downside. But for the generation where you have to go back and live, or the time period you have to go back and live, that gets a little.
Oh, that's very different hypothetical. So
why don't we start with the fly on the wall? Which time period or periods would you just like to go back and observe? If you had to pick one, because I think you're right, Gordo, we'd like to go back and observe all of them.
Yeah.
But if you could pick one and you're just an observer, what would that be?
I would go back to see what the greatest generation would made him so great, and I would go back to the 1940s, and I'd check in on my dad after Pearl Harbor, training to learn how to fly a fighter plane or a bomber, which is what he went through, Navy pilot training. I would take a swing through Tulsa, Oklahoma, and see my grandparents with their 3 daughters, including my mom. And to go see my grandparents too, and just see them and observe what was a day like in 1942.
God, what if you went to your grandparents' house though, and they're like having sex in the other room?
Stop it!
And then you're like the fly on the wall, and you can't tell them to stop.
It's just you don't see things like that in my.
In your fly on the
my world.
Let's make it a little different, though. Let's not include family members, because we'd all want to go back and see our great grandparents.
Well, it would still be the same time with me.
Okay.
It would still be the 1940s, which I think are just.
So instead of going to family sites, where would you go?
I would just in America, what it was like then. How were we really that united as the world was at war? Were we really fearful that? Man, the end could be near when you get all your news from a radio and a transmission from thousands of miles away.
So you'd spend one day in what town and in what year and what month, let's say?
Give me New York.
New York City.
1942.
Okay.
What was the day like as our world and America had just gone to war? To me, that's the most fascinating time of the last 100 years.
I would go back 1 week before I had this cough. That's what I would do.
So that you wouldn't have a cough.
Life was so much easier
so
back
much
then.
better then.
So much easier. I think that I would probably do I would struggle through listening to the Sermon on the Mount in Aramaic.
I thought about that too. Wouldn't you want to go back?
Maybe the last week of, Jesus' life in Rome.
I think that's what I would want to see too. That was number one on my list. I'd want to see him, see what it was all about, which version was closer, the Mark or Luke version or the Life of Brian version.
Right. The problem is us not speaking his language. We have no idea what he's saying. He could be saying stuff that was way off of what we came to understand that he had said.
And you only have that day to translate it too.
Right.
And you can't ask anybody.
You can't ask anyone, but do I have I guess I could take my cell phone and Google translate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. We'll allow that. Although you'll have a terrible Wi-Fi connection in the year 0.
That's right. It's not going to work well at all.
But yeah, how great would that be to see what he looked like, to see the people around him? But of course, that would be difficult because you can't ask anyone anything. Because in this hypothetical fly on the wall, you can't interact at all.
Right.
So you can't ask now. Which one is Luke? Is the one with the stethoscope around his neck?
Yeah, that was number one on my list too. It is a hard one though because I do want to observe. Like, I'd like to go back to the 70s. I'd like to see the 60s, the 50s, George's 40s, the roaring 20s, the turn of the century. I'd want to see all of that. All right, what about to go back and attempt to survive for a week? We can even if you think a week's easy, make it a month. But you are going back to this time period, and everybody can see you. Maybe we will give you one
period correct clothing
outfit, and it's up to you to get more after that. But you were just dropped in this spot, and it's up to you to survive and observe for a week.
All right. So right away, we have to choose an English-speaking country, right? Because there's no way that we're going to try to survive in a place that we don't even speak the language. And we're also limited as to a time period. Anything before 1500, we're not going to be able to understand English.
Right.
No. I think you're in big trouble if you go back more than 30, 40 years. I think you're in trouble.
Really?
Yes. I think you're going to stand out, and you're going to just, yeah.
But you have the period correct clothing. You're fine.
Okay, that's one thing, but yeah, I just think you're going to have a really tough time. If I'll stretch it to 60 years. If you go back before 1960, look at our guy in what was that JFK one where he went
11/22/63.
Yeah, 11/22/63. Look at all the nonsense he had to go through, the stuff that you don't even think about.
I think you'd be totally fine. I think all of American times you'd be pretty, certainly you'd understand the language.
I think you'd get your ass beat within 2 or 3 days.
People just always looking to kick people's asses?
Yours, yes.
Mine?
Look how many people used to tick off in 1994. If you took that back to 1954, you would be seen as you would just stand out like you had neon.
I would love to go see Lincoln do the Gettysburg Address and risk it that they'd be like, sir, you need to join your ranks over here in the military. I'm not here for the military. I'm not involved in the conflict.
What do you mean not here for military?
I'm just here to observe. I just when I find me a nice little job here for a few months and I'm fine. No, every man must serve. Yeah, man, what is a man really when you think about it? Not me.
See what I mean?
Are you gender labeling me?
You are. Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Good Lord.
So I picked a time period very close to that. And I think it's because I just finished reading the book Dodge City, about Dodge City back in the Wild West during the 1870s.
They sell Chrysler as well, or just Dodge?
No, Dodge City, Kansas. And I think it's because I, in the last few years, have a recent fascination with the Old West. And I've read a lot of books about that time period in Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Colorado, New Mexico, the American Southwest, and just how fascinating and crazy and wild it was.
You're nuts. You're going to be dead within 2 days.
I don't think so.
You'd be shot.
No.
You're going to get a splinter and you're going to die of gangrene, and that's it for you.
Maybe that, but I don't think I'm going to be shot because as I've learned reading Dodge City, yes, there were gun battles, and yes, people died, and yes, they buried them at Boot Hill, but not as many as you think. It's not like 20 guys were being gunned down every day. What I did discover is that pretty much every guy, and this is especially during the spring, summer, and fall, the cattle driving season, they were either driving cattle or they were in a saloon getting drunk or in that saloon gambling or next door with a prostitute. That was every guy.
So which one of those things
every day?
You're going to have to choose.
How are you going to spend your time?
You out there putting on your little costume saying, I'm going to go for a run, guys. I mean, what? You're going to go for a run? What does that mean?
Number one, I don't sound like that.
Yes, you
Number
do.
two,
you damn hell do.
I don't run anymore, so it wouldn't be an issue. I've got a tendon problem in my ankle.
Yeah, explain that to the other cowboys. Yeah, really, I can't do the rustling.
Hey, where can I get a workout in town? A workout? A what?
So,
I'll work you out.
Where's the gym? Is there a gym here?
In Dodge City, there were also some other occupations, and I could find my way into something.
What are you going to do?
Blacksmith?
I'll go to some restaurant and ask if they need a server, or because I've got experience doing that. I'm a former waiter.
Really?
What?
What's your experience?
You know what I probably could do?
A Chili's. A what?
It's
casual dining.
None of us are going to use modern day terms.
It's going to slip out.
We're going to play the role. We're not going to bring up Chili's and
What can I get you, cowboys? Y'all looking for some appetizers?
I worked at an Italian place.
Can I upsell you?
You worked at an Italian. What is that?
With some top shelf margaritas?
Or I would just be homeless for the week. I'd just bounce around the town. I'd eat scraps.
And that's when you'd get shot.
Scraps.
People don't have time for homeless.
This guy stealing my scraps.
I know I'm going to be pretty sickly at the end of the week.
You're going to have constant diarrhea.
What are you going to eat?
Well, from what I've determined back then, all they ate were buffalo, steak, maybe potatoes, very few fruits and vegetables. It wasn't a balanced diet in Dodge City in 1875. So I'll eat whatever they're throwing out.
You'd be so tired of that place within an hour or two. You'd be like, hey, I've seen it, got it.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, well, you still have 1 month left, Mr. Miller.
Wouldn't that be a beatdown if I got there and after a couple hours I'm like, well, this is just like any Western movie I've ever seen. It's not really that much different.
It's a Western movie, but it has no plot.
But I would want
worse.
I would want to see Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday and Bat Masterson and all those guys.
Stay away
and
from them. They'll shoot you.
They're not going to shoot me if I'm
handy with a gun. That's a smart move.
Doc Holliday might shoot me, but the others wouldn't shoot me if I'm obeying the law. I just think
consumptive.
What's Doc? Yeah, but he still was one of the quickest draws in the West, even though he was always sickly. But I just am fascinated by that time period. That's where I would want to try to go, because it's the easy answer to this is, I want to go back to 2005. Well, of course you're going to make it through a week.
Yeah.
You know, George saying only the last 40 years. Well, yeah, that's easy. I mean, maybe that's your answer, but I want a little bit of a challenge.
Look at all the problems Michael J. Fox with in Back to the Future. That was like 30 years. He had all sorts of problems. I love that movie, by the way, when it came out. That was a real game changer for me. I just love that.
Okay, so if you were to put a cap on it, since you are the dungeon master in this scenario, Craig, where do you want to put the cutoff? Like, say that you have to go back before World War II.
Let's just say, we could do that. I was going to say before you were born, something you've never experienced before.
All right.
Just so,
George
got to go back to the 50s.
Choose World War II. Although it's going to be real suspicious why you're one of the few men who are wandering around the country while all the other guys are fighting.
Yeah, why don't you overseas?
I choose not to fight. I mean, I'm proud of our boys. I love what they're doing over there.
I'm already back.
Yep,
wounded.
Already back, wounded. That's why I got the limp. Yeah,
I'm a
meniscus. I had a meniscus at D-Day, and
I'm a conscientious objector, just like Muhammad Ali. Who?
See, I'd have a slip up. We'd all have a slip up.
We would all have a slip up,
and it would cause a big problem.
Yeah, the way we really would, especially going back to where I was going, you would have to watch how you speak, because you will stand out.
Yeah.
Like if I just talked like this in 1875 in Dodge City, then who are you?
Yeah, they'd say you talked like a a person who shouldn't talk like that.
Right.
According to your chart.
According to your chart, right. Yes.
All right, so you'd go back to the 40s, George.
Yeah, I would.
Where would you go, Gordo? See, I thought one of the two of you might, because I think you're both interested in the Revolutionary War era. I thought one of you might go back there.
It's just
I thought
too
about
risky.
that and the Civil War too, but yeah, I'd be dead in a day.
It just was
you're not going to die in a day.
Yes, you would, Junior.
I don't think so.
Everybody.
I mean, if you went back to a battlefield in the Civil War, or Revolutionary War, yes, but
life
if you're
was hard back then. I mean, just going to the bathroom was a big deal.
Going out to the outhouse and a rattlesnake, fangs your nuts.
Yeah, would you want to be in Texas in the summertime and anywhere before 1950 or so?
Do you have any air conditioning in this cabin?
I'd just pull out my 6-shooter and shoot the rattlesnake.
Have you seen the 6-shooters they use? Those Henry rifles, and I think they even made Henry pistols. They were really long and heavy. You would be
You'd fly out of his hand after he shot him.
It'd be the worst shot ever.
Ouch! Ooh, that hurt.
I'll just take something in a Glock. Do you guys have polymer-based pistols?
That's the thing. A week in Texas in the 1950s without AC.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying you'd be okay? I don't think so. I think you'd be so miserable on the first night trying to get cool.
Okay, so this is
so
for
soft.
a month, right? I think we need to make it.
Okay, let's make it a month. Let's make it a month.
Let's make it a month.
Because anybody can survive a week.
Yes. Yeah. And there's no way that we would make it in Revolutionary War times or Civil War times. Any time between those two, you're done. It'd have to be post-Civil War. And I think you're risking it by doing Wild West.
What if you guys could see a glimpse of my going back to 1875?
Oh, we would be watching it here in present day on our little TV. We would have a remote.
You get to watch for comedy.
We could watch new comedy that no one could duplicate.
But what if
you in the outhouse just completely having liquefied bowels, then looking around for the toilet paper and go, oh crap, I forgot we're on corn husk technology.
Now, the liquefied bowels thing, that would happen for sure, because that happens to me today in 2026. So
yeah, you just got to corn cob it or corn husk it.
Yes. So, but what would you guys do if at the end of the month I was thriving?
There's no way.
And I was on cattle drives, and I was holding court in the saloon.
There's no way.
And I was winning gun battles.
You'd not be a leader of men. No one would want to associate with you.
He may be the entertainer of town, though. They may think this guy is unbelievable.
George, think
He's
about
hilarious.
How humor changes over time. Humor changes. So he's going to be making jokes that are not going to be going over well.
Or maybe they go over great.
The first time some other guy tries to tell a joke and you go, you know what, that's a little bit offensive. That's really not
say that.
What we want to be, is it? I mean, do better. I really think you need to, as a gunfighter and humorist, you need to do better.
Okay, how about this?
Yeah, they blow him away.
I think George is onto something, because there was a theater in Dodge City and there was this comedic performer that was extremely popular. And I would go up to him and say, hey, could I open for you? Could I do something? And then I'd pull out some Steve Martin stuff. And
it's not going to work.
What if he did the arrow through the head? That would slay back in 1885. Yeah. Hey, sorry, a little late, but had an injury on the way here.
That would be offensive to Native Americans.
Not back then. It would play big.
Yeah.
Yeah, but do you want to do that kind of humor, knowing in your soul that it's wrong?
To survive the month, yes.
Just to get a reaction. See, we'll do anything for a laugh, even if it means going back to Dodge City in the 1880s.
Okay, Gordo, where are you going back to then?
I think that I would go back to probably 1920s, either New York or Paris in the 20s.
Okay.
Maybe the Algonquin Round Table in New York and see Dorothy Parker and Robert Benchley and
you're going to make somebody
Harpo
mad
Marx. Nah, I don't think so.
They're going to wonder, hey, who's the weird guy that's eavesdropping on us?
He doesn't say anything.
Hey, you guys,
say something, dude.
Mind if I sit here at this round table? Yeah, all right. It's pretty cool, man. I'd love that. I think that'd be great. So that would be New York. And then if I did Paris, then, of course, you're over there during the time of Fitzgerald and Zelda were there, and Maddox Ford, and I don't know who else, Gertrude Stein.
Overthinking everything.
What do you mean?
They were. He is.
They were. Not you. No.
Picasso. He'd be there.
Yeah.
Deal with him.
That'd be amazing.
That would be great. But then again, I don't speak Paris. So I don't speak Parisian. So I'd have a language barrier. I could only talk to Scott Fitzgerald.
Yeah, you could talk to the Americans.
Right.
You don't think you'd stick out? You think you'd be okay? Could you blend in?
I think so. Yeah, that's a big enough, metropolitan area that there's enough people there that people wouldn't, I think, bother you.
This is a month. What about food?
Oh, they have great food.
What about bathrooms?
See, you guys you're choosing the easy route because you're going to New York, so there are going to be tons of food options and restaurants, and even in the 20s and 40s there were sandwich shops everywhere. You guys would be fine. I'm in Dodge City in 1875.
Okay, then I choose.
worry about your diet.
Then I choose Egypt when they were building the pyramids.
Okay. See, that would be interesting, but man, we couldn't make it a day.
Yeah.
No.
You're going to get speared there.
You're going to be seen as some weird spirit from another time, which you kind of are.
Which I am.
And they would kill you.
Who's guy with beard and what is beard?
Or would they revere me where I would be like, hey, these pyramids, I got a few ideas of how you can build them better. Anybody? What if we floated the rocks here? What if we built a big bridge?
Maybe you'd see a spaceship then if you did that.
I would like to know how they built those pyramids.
Yeah,
that would be interesting.
How did they?
Because what's the old stat that Cleopatra's closer to the iPhone than she is the pyramids? Y'all heard that?
No. What does that mean?
Well, the when she lived, her time in history, she
I
was
see what
closer to now than even when the pyramids were built.
Okay.
Like they were ancient when she was around.
I thought that meant
she didn't even know how they were built.
I thought that meant she had more knowledge about the iPhone than the pyramids.
In her heart was a little closer to the iPhone.
Right. She knew it was going to happen.
Made more sense to her.
The iPhone spoke to her a little bit more.
That's a good one, Gordo. I think that would be my fly on the wall choice, is a day in ancient Egypt, watching them build the pyramids.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Not to physically be there because, there's no way. Stand out
one of them starts yelling at you and he's holding the shovel and you're like, I wouldn't know what to do. I know you're trying to hand me this thing and I'm supposed to chip in.
And you wouldn't do it right if you were supposed to do something. Yeah.
But you're also onto something. If you went way, way, way back, would you be so weird to them that you would be revered and
be a big hit?
Awesome for you.
You'd be a prophet.
They'd bring you all sorts of fruits and gold and frankincense.
So let's say I went to Paris when they were building Notre Dame in 1066 or whenever. Would that be far enough back that they would revere me as someone who seems really smart? That would be the other thing. I would do the trick of being a little bit tight-lipped, always look like I'm thinking about stuff and try to convince them I'm a lot smarter than I am. Mm-hmm. And just just peppering in a few prescient things that I'd say.
You could pull it off for a few days. I don't know. You'd get stoned to death.
Why? Stop predicting death for me at every turn.
By spearing, stoning.
They'd think you were an evil spirit of some sort.
Huh.
Have to get rid of you.
That's the other thing, though. We're taking our modern day smarts back. Shouldn't that be enough to get us through a month?
Yes. You would think so. And you're taking your knowledge of that time back with you.
Right.
So let's say that we did choose, I don't know, ancient Egypt, right? You have a few years to study up on it before your trip, so you get really well versed in it and make a game plan of how you're going to survive that month.
Right.
He's going to dress like Steve Martin doing King Tut.
But that's exactly what I'm taking back. I just read Dodge City. So
right.
I'm taking back a lot of intel.
Yeah.
But what intel is really actionable for you?
Well, I think I could create a bunch of stories that could get me through a month about all of the big characters in the Wild West that day. And I could create some stories that I'm friends with Buffalo Bill Cody or...
Oh, really? He happens to be in town
right
now. Let's go get him.
Like that.
Don't bother him. He's probably eating.
Never seen that
no,
guy
I do my due diligence and find out who's in town and who's not.
Yeah, a whole month. I just think the slip-ups would do you in. And
I think Old West, Junior, I really think that as much as you're fascinated by it and as much studying as you did on it leading up to your trip, I think you'd be kind of, okay, I get it. After about 4 or 5 days, you'd be like, I understand it, got it. I got what I wanted out of this trip. Maybe. They have an earlier return flight home.
No,
that's what I'm looking for.
26 days left.
And then at that point, you're just hunkered down in your room, taking your meals in your room, trying not to interact with anyone.
Yeah.
Trying not to get dysentery constantly.
Terrible cell service. Yeah.
Well, stop with the cell service.
It's crazy.
Do you have your phone with you?
No.
Not that it would work, but you could impress people from the past if you had this magical device that they could see pictures in.
Oh,
and you could convince them that you are a god in some sense.
A wizard.
Yeah. If you could take their picture with your phone and then show it to them.
They would either revere me or they would kill me and take that phone.
Yeah.
So I don't think I'd want to bring it out. I don't think I'd want to risk it.
It's a risk, but it could pay off big.
Yeah.
Because then they could be like, oh, this is great. You have this magic box. And then they say, okay, we're going to get our king. He wants to visit with you because he has heard of you throughout our land. They speak like that. And then they bring the king to you and you'd be like, here's the deal. I know you want to see the phone. I ran out of juice about 3 hours ago.
There's
no place to charge it.
anywhere.
I'm so sorry. I promise you it was magic.
That's funny. If you showed them a phone that was dead, but it's this little metal shiny box. Would that be enough, even without the display in the pictures?
Just the machining of it looks so precise to them.
I think they'd throw it up in the air and shoot it.
All right, yeah. What if you were allowed to take one item back with you to impress them? What item would you choose? Would you choose a phone?
Do you have to? Is it always going to be charged, or do you have to take that into account that you have to watch your battery?
I think let's make it difficult and you have to watch your battery. I think I think you can take whatever. Like you'll have a portable solar generator to recharge your phone if you wanted to take that. Or would you take a laptop, maybe even better?
They wouldn't be able to wrap their mind around it, but if you took them a refrigerator and showed them, look, this keeps things cold. Look at this. I think they would be more impressed than think you were.
So you want to go back in time to impress Jesus with a refrigerator?
I thought we were in Dodge City.
You can pick whenever,
all the way back.
Whatever time.
What about?
Yeah, I think even Jesus would have been really impressed with refrigeration. Little side by side.
Jesus.
Whoa. Side by
side
down there.
Oh,
huh? Okay.
You mean water right in front of the door like this? Not even have to open.
Ice maker?
What is that? That's ice.
Crushed ice.
and cubed.
Crushed and cubed. My choice. My choice.
See?
Would you take weaponry back? What about a taser? Wouldn't that freak everybody out if you just took a taser back?
Yeah.
And you could win any street fight. You just tase the guy.
Or mace. I would take mace is probably more valuable, right? Because the taser, you can only recharge it a few times. But mace, you get a few more usages out of it. But what if you maced Judas and accidentally hit Jesus in the face? And that's a whole scene.
What the flip?
What the heck are you doing? Is there an eye wash station around?
God, I want to see all of these films. I want to see all of us back in time doing all this stuff. Oh, I'd love it. All right, it's always a fun hypothetical. Time travel. Going back in time. As far as we know, that machine doesn't exist that we saw in Napoleon Dynamite or Back to the Future.
What a ridiculous machine, too. Just a battery hooked up to jumper cables that you put on your nuts.
That was ridiculous. we could only travel forward in time. We could do that now. Think about that when we have the astronauts who travel and they return. If you travel, of course, the closer to the speed of light, time slows down. And so you actually are much younger than the people on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
So, famously covered in Interstellar, Matthew McConaughey's character has to watch his whole family grow up while he's still alive, and they grow up and get old and die. And could you imagine that? Would you do that for humanity? Take a trip like that that's supposed to help humanity, but knowing that you're not going to see your kids grow up.
That's right.
I don't think so.
Just let everyone die.
No.
Well,
if you can't have the best life, then everyone has to die.
Probably.
So, I don't want to break it down that way, but yeah.
Of course you don't.
And popsicle sticks.
Yeah, maybe that's another episode. Would we want to travel in the future?
Yeah.
That gets really dicey because you don't know what you're going into.
Yes. Okay. So travel into the future. Let's just say this is the one day fly on the wall, but forward in time. How far in advance would you pick? Would it be more interesting to you to see what it looks like in 30 years from now, which would be fascinating to see how culture has changed, life has changed? Or would you like to travel 500 years in the future and see what life is like?
And there's no risk fly on the wall. If you go 500 years in the future and nothing exists,
right?
Well, then you're okay.
Right. But you have a full, let's say, week of this fly on the wall thing.
Get bored.
It may be that the Earth has been obliterated and you're just floating in space for one full week with nothing to see.
I don't feel good about 500 years. Give me 30.
Oh, that's a good one. I think I'd go to I was going to say 2050, but I may see that anyway.
Yeah. But you could prepare for it.
Yeah. I think that's what I'd take, 2050. About 25 years in the future.
I don't think there's any way I'm seeing 2050.
Oh, George, don't depress us. What? You're bound and determined for us to end on a low.
Just average age. I'm just add it up. It doesn't add up.
How far would you go?
I think I would go about 100 to 150 years in advance. Let's say 125 years into the future and see what life is like then. I bet you it'd be so unrecognizable.
Yeah. I don't think you could relate to it.
That's the thing. I think 25 years in the future will be partly unrecognizable, but maybe I should go further out because maybe it'll be too also recognizable.
Yeah.
I'll go 100 with you.
What if there's no humans? What if we've all become cyborgs?
Let's go together. And what if there are no humans and you and I have to procreate to get the human race going again?
Now it's gotten weird. It's gotten weird.
Just think about it.
I'll think about it.
That makes it better.
And then after a couple of years, we're looking at each other. Why isn't this working?
Oh, God.
All right. That does it for episode 42 of The Musers, the podcast. Thanks to Peter Welpton, our producer. We'll see you next time on The Musers, the podcast.